Welcome to the Filmcast review of Black Phone 2. I'm going to read the plot summary of this movie from the internet. Bad dreams haunt 15-year-old Gwen as she receives calls from the Black Phone and sees disturbing visions of three boys being stalked at a winter camp. Accompanied by her brother Finn, they head to the camp to solve the mystery, only to confront the Grabber, a killer who's grown even more powerful in death, end quote. Now, we talked right before this podcast started recording. I don't think it's a spoiler to say the Grabber is in this one.
It's the whole
He
point.
is in the poster. Yeah. He's in the trailer. I will say, that said, the real plot of this movie doesn't really kick in until about an hour into the movie, like halfway.
The Grabber
into the
doesn't
movie.
appear for a while.
Yeah, for a long time. So like people might consider it a spoiler. I don't, just because it's a huge part of the marketing. So, but just letting people know. All that said, Devindra, remind us what your thoughts were on the original Black Phone, which was directed by Scott Derrickson and written by C. Robert Cargill.
I really liked the first Black Phone. I thought it was there were elements of it that felt a little maybe overbearing. The abusive father bit, like it just felt like too much. But the overall story was really cool and really well done. So I really liked the first movie.
It's a kind of very simple story, but a kind of a cool one, right? Which is the idea that this kid gets kidnapped by this serial killer, and there is a phone that he receives calls from previous victims, and together they're able to give him the tools to overcome his current predicament. It's just like a cool concept, and there's a very kind of video game logic to it, but I don't say that derogatorily. I mean, like, hey, here are the puzzle pieces, and like now they put the puzzle pieces together in a satisfying way, and you get to watch it all unfold. So I also enjoyed Black Phone 1 quite a bit as well. All that said, I was very curious how they would approach Black Phone 2. This is not a remake of the first one in any way, right? This is like this trods brand new territory, in my opinion. All that said, Devindra Hardar, what did you think of Black Phone 2?
Oh, I love this movie. I love it because I think it is more interesting and complex than the first one was. The first one was like based on a Joe Hill story, and I feel like this is more of a straight up original idea. But what's interesting here is that they basically did a reverse Freddy Krueger, right? Like we learn in the Nightmare on Elm Street series that Freddy Krueger was an abusive, murderer who was killed by the parents, and is haunting people's dreams. In this movie, the Grabber is back and in their dreams, haunting them after being killed by the kid. And it was just kind of fun to see that flip, but also I think it's just like a really well done horror film that does a lot with very little. It's a very small cast, only a few locations too, and one of those locations is like mostly a snowy cabin, right? Or mostly a snowy like campground. So you can tell that this is not a very high budget movie, but Scott Derrickson does a lot with it. And I also think like C. Robert Cargill, somebody I've been reading forever since he's been on Any Cool News. We've had him on the show a couple of times. I think this is a genuinely great sequel because it builds on everything from the first one. We know who these characters are. And what's cool is that you kind of, the sister is she has like a little bit of a psychic power. The boy is dealing with a really horrific traumatic event. We are introduced to him in this movie while he's punching another kid's face into the ground. I love how it just builds on that first movie and gives us a lot, and also fills in backstory in ways that I did not really expect either. So like, it's always surprising me. It's always doing fun things. And, I love it. I love it in a horror movie when the victims start to be empowered, and we'll go more into that in spoilers. But yeah, I love this movie overall. What a fun concept. I did have the thought, I kind of hope they don't go back to this. I kind of like, hey, I want talented people to get like a sustainable franchise to keep them going. But also this particular story feels done in this movie. Anything more that happens will have to be like whole new characters, I think.
I don't know. People probably felt that way when they watched the first Freddy or Jason movies, right?
Yeah, they were probably right. They were probably right for some of those. The first Nightmare on Elm Street is a freaking masterpiece, and I think I really like Dream Warriors, but I don't love the sequels.
I had a great time with this movie as well. It really took me a while to understand what this movie even was. I think it really takes
There's a lot of layers to it.
50. It takes about 50 to 60 movies before we even get to really what the premise of the movie is going to be. And so I spent the first hour just like not really like, the first one is very simple. It's like a very simple, elegant thing of the kid is in the basement and he needs to figure out how to get out. Like, that's a very simple thing. This, I'm just like, what is this movie trying to even do? And so that is worth noting just for people who are like, might be confused going into this thing. That said, what emerges out of this movie is something that I think is very interesting, more complicated, more emotionally rich than the first film, more visually interesting than the first film. Now, there are
Yes.
some,
Yeah.
I would say, dodgy visual effects in this movie. The idea is that they're supposed to be kind of in the middle of the woods next to this massive lake,
Mhm.
and I just don't think the lake looks very good. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
You
just
know.
how
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
live in this. Like, I see this shit in real life all the time, and
Yeah.
I
Mr.
was
Seattle over here has
yeah,
beautiful emerald green lakes all
I
over.
was
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
fooled by the lake in this thing, and that's a little bit disappointing. And the movie had
Yeah.
a budget
Yeah.
of around $30 million, and they did a really reasonably good job with
Yeah.
a lot of what they had, but didn't love the lake. However, there is something else that the movie does that I'll get into in spoilers. But I'll just say that there is a huge portion of the film is filmed in a different way than the rest of the film.
Yeah.
And I love the way the movie does that. I
Mhm.
love the contrast between the two different parts and how the movie uses that contrast to tell the story, to put you into a different feel, depending on which portion of the movie you're in, so to speak. And yeah, it was just that part I just thought was it took me a while to again understand what was happening, but by the time I figured it out, I thought it was
Yeah.
quite
Yeah.
brilliant and really exhilarating to watch. It's in my opinion well beyond anything that the first film attempted in that way. So really love that.
Mhm.
That said, Devindra, I don't know if you're going to get your wish. This movie was the number one movie at the box office this
It's
weekend.
been huge. Yeah.
It's a huge
Good
movie
for
around the
them.
world.
Good for them. Yeah.
And so it's possible we're going to be seeing grabber movies for a really long time. Now we'll talk about what happens in spoilers
I'm just saying,
momentarily.
not these characters, right? Like new
Mm,
set of characters. Let's
mm,
start a new story because I feel like they completed a story here.
mm, mm. Let's see. Anything else to say about the movie? Yeah, I don't know. I think we should get to spoilers.
Yeah.
So suffice to say, Devindra and I both had a great time with this one. Here's a question actually before we get to spoilers. Do you prefer this one to the original?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
do.
you think
Because
so?
it's much more interesting. You're right, the original had like a very like puzzle-like structure,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
felt simplistic, you know,
yeah.
and I get that.
But
Yeah.
satisfying and pleasurable. Like
Yes.
it's like, oh,
Yes. Yeah.
that's cool. Like I like how that all these parts kind of fit together. That's kind of cool. But yeah, this one is a much bigger swing, I would say,
Mhm.
and therefore more interesting and probably a better film overall. So let's get to spoilers for the Black Phone 2 starting right now. Right off the bat, the thing I just want to clarify about what I was saying during the review is a lot of the film is shot on film. The dream sequences are shot on film. Uh,
Oh yeah.
and yeah,
It's not just like a film effect.
according to C. Robert Cargill on Blue Sky, no digital trickery. All the sequences that look like film are.
Is that
He
16
says
millimeter? It looks like low scale.
Super 8 for the silent sequences, and
Nice.
Super 16 for the sequences
Yeah.
that have. So Super 8 does not have sound, right? So
Yeah.
Super 16 for the sequences with sound. And what they did was they removed they removed half the frames. Sorry, here's what he says.
Mhm.
Super 8 for the silent sequences, Super 16 for those with sound, which we cut in half to
Mhm.
make them 8 millimeter.
That's
And then
wild.
and then Aaron Stewart on
Yeah.
says, what? So the sync sound dream images you shot on Super 16, but framed half the image, then blew it up for even more grain?
It's really grainy. Like
and he says,
what
yeah.
is amazing is how grainy it looks. Yeah.
So it looks like my guess is they shot it on half of the image
Right.
and then blew it up so
Right.
that it would look the same as the Super 8 sequences.
Okay.
Right? Super 16 film is half the size of Super 8 film, as
Yeah.
the name implies. I don't know technically how that would work. Yeah, I guess it would just. I don't know how you would shoot with half. The mind
You'd probably
boggles at
shoot
that.
it and like crop it, like
Would
as
you? Yeah, you'd crop
yeah.
it in half. Right. I guess it would be.
Yeah, in the camera, you'd
Like,
and then you
I'm just
cut
curious,
it.
aspect ratio, how that would work. I don't exactly
Yeah.
know. But point being, they shot it all on film.
Cool.
And in order to have sound for some of them, they shot it on Super 16, then cut it in half so it would match the Super 8, which is just amazing that they committed to that authenticity. And what's also cool is, despite my issues with some of the CG in the movie, the look of the rest of the movie is crystal sharp, right? It looks
Mhm,
like it was
mhm.
shot on Arri Alexa 70 millimeter. And so often what you then have is a situation where you are cutting back and forth between this Super 8 footage and like this razor sharp footage from reality, and the contrast just makes for this really wonderfully jarring experience that I appreciated.
Yeah.
Sometimes, by the way, the Super 8 footage transitions into the modern. So I'm
That
like,
was wild.
how
That
do
was
they do
wild where
that?
it
Like,
transitions.
my
Yeah.
guess is they shot that in the modern, cinema camera, and they just applied
Mhm.
an effect for those limited number of shots.
Yeah.
But all that stuff I just thought was great. The idea of, Devindra, have you ever seen yourself in a dream?
Mhm.
Right, you're dreaming and you
Yeah,
see your
yeah.
own body. Right, I think the movie does a great job of evoking that. Also, by the
The
way, I
dream
don't.
sequences are great. Are all
I
great.
think they
Yeah.
are they're all great. The way they're done is all great. I don't know that this is a reverse Freddy Krueger though, because in Freddy Krueger, he is in your dreams. He is in the kid's dreams.
That's what I'm saying as it's presented. As it's presented, the first movie is like guy in your dreams is scaring you. Turns out he was murdered because he was a child
Uh huh.
molester, right? And this one you start out by murdering the child kidnapper,
I
and now
see.
he's haunting your dreams.
I
So they kind of
oh,
just
I
flipped
see. I
it.
see. They did a reverse in terms of how they
Yeah.
presented the information to you. I see.
And
You're
also
saying.
he's a Freddy Krueger. Like he
Yes,
is a
he's a
straight
Freddy.
up Freddy Krueger.
Right,
Yeah.
right, 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 right. Now, I do think the movie needs to kind of it basically needs to make up a bunch of grabber lore for
Yeah.
this movie to work,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh, turns out this is where the grabber got his start at this cabin that my mom was also at, and you do need to be willing to buy all that. It's kind of a retcon, or not really a
Get
retcon,
in
but
for the ride, right?
yeah,
It's all a ride. The way
yeah,
they retcon stuff, the stuff with the mom is genuinely heartbreaking. Like it's like, oh man, you didn't need to do that, but also it fits into the lore. It fits into these characters,
yeah.
and it adds like a more depth to this story. It's like, wow, that's impressive.
One thing I really appreciated about all that stuff is they made sure to find a way so that uh I think Gwen is the name of the character, right? The daughter character. Um so that
Hmm.
Gwen basically has irrefutable proof all the time
Yeah,
that she is Madeline McGraw, by the way, is the name of the actor. So that she can see the dream, right? So in
yeah.
the case of the
We
Jeremy
don't
Davis,
waste
yeah, there's
time
no
with
wasting time
people
of like, oh,
not believing it.
Gwen, can
Yeah.
you really see into the future? Can you really see dreams? Like everyone just knows because they give her something in every instance where it's like, oh, she could only know that information
Hmm.
if she could actually see the truth via her dreams. And I appreciated that the script did something at multiple steps along the
Hmm.
way to make it so that that was the case. That very smart writing from Cargill, but you'd expect nothing less.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, I love how this movie does things that normally would take several films in a franchise to kind of build to, but the realization is like, oh, you have power in your own dreams. That reminds me of the Friday the 13th movie with the telepathic girl, which is not a great one, but it is very, very satisfying to see a horror victim like basically embrace their power and turn that against the
right.
villain. So
Yeah.
it is satisfying, just like seeing the kid like stomp the hell out of the grabber in the first movie. There's some really satisfying stuff when the kids start to fight back.
Right, right. And really,
Hmm.
this movie has a similar template to the first film,
Hmm.
which is these kids who are under this lake are in some way trying to help these main characters kill the grabber again, right?
Hmm.
Like to vanquish the grabber in some way. Now the grabber is dead in this case, but he can still haunt dreams and he still has some power. And so they're coming back and trying to like help them resolve this. And yeah, it's essentially about kids defeating their abusers.
Hmm. And also the
On the,
trauma that they leave them with too, because a lot of it's overcoming trauma for Mason Thames' character Finn.
yeah, and I don't know that really worked for me.
Yeah,
To some degree, it felt like really Gwen should be the main character of this one.
she
Like
pretty
Mason,
much is.
she pretty much is, but I think
Yeah.
it's kind of a Mason Thames' character Finney is like a really
Hmm.
big secondary character, but
Hmm.
yeah, I kind of wonder what it would have been if it was like 100% of the focus is on Gwen's character in this one.
I don't
That
know.
said,
That guy killed the grabber, so he he gets some prominent position in the follow up movie at the very least.
right,
Yeah.
fair. The you're talking about the moment at the end when she kind of realizes, hey, I can control my dream too, and
Yes.
that is very satisfying and cool. I honestly wish there had been a little bit more done with that, where we
Yep.
see she's doing telekinetic shit and other stuff that we don't really see very much in the course of the movie.
Hmm.
The stuff of her in the dream and getting injured was like so cool.
Yeah.
There, like she's in the dream and then like a wound opens up on her arm. It's like, oh my,
Hmm.
that's looks incredible. It's like terrifying to contemplate. There's also this moment when she's in the dream and then she goes into water and then her like real life self starts being covered with water. I thought that was like, what a cool concept and
Yeah.
execution of that. So many cool things about how the dream sequences play out in this movie that I was just a huge fan of. So
it's dream sequences, but it's also like you use the memory of a spirit as a sort of time travel maneuver too. Like there's really cool stuff going on here. I also want to shout out Damien Bashir's character, who plays like the sort of like head of the camp, right? And love how helpful he is. Love how he's like a genuinely good guy. There was a point in this movie where it seemed like he was gonna die, and I was like, oh man, don't do that, because I really like him. So just great characters all around too.
well, Devindra, I don't know if you know this, but whenever Damien Bashir is in a wooded
Yeah.
building, snowed in with 6 or 7 other people, terrible things are happening.
Bad things happen. Yeah.
Whether it's Kurt Russell trying to solve a murder, or in this case, the grabber trying to enforce his will, doing weird things around everyone. I did think that the portrayal of Christians was interesting. Like I like that it was like a fairly subtle dig at Christians, which is, hey, there's a concept of Christian, and I believe Scott Derrickson is a man of faith as well. But there is a concept in Christianity of faith without deeds is meaningless, and in modern Christianity, there is a lot of. I mean, I have a very complicated history with Christianity, but I will just say that, in my opinion, the modern evangelical Christian church resembles very little the teachings of Jesus Christ from the Bible, to the extent that many people are complaining to pastors when pastors are. This is Google this. This is a common thing that happens. Pastors reading Jesus's words, turn the other cheek. The meek shall inherit the earth. Those kinds of things. People will go up to pastors and say, "Where'd you get all this woke ideology?"
People are doing that to the Pope too.
Yeah,
like, what does he know? What does he know?
What's all this woke shit that the Pope is saying? Like, and in my opinion, the actions of the modern contemporary evangelical church resemble very little the teachings of Jesus. And I think if I'm to, I don't think it's particularly subtle, but I think that what the movie is trying to say is, hey, at the end of the day, it's actually more important what you're doing than anything you believe. And in this case, helping this person, I guess, unearth these bodies is going to be more meaningful than any beliefs you're clinging to. And I appreciated that as a message. Not sure why the movie still felt the need to kind of grievously injure those characters after they did the right thing.
It just felt good. It just felt fun. There's a certain horror movies. There's a certain like level of like moral justice.
I mean, let's just say I'm glad the movie didn't kill those characters. Yeah, I think that would have been too far. But it's just like, hey, you're paying some penalty for your kind of terrible behavior, but we're not going to kill you. So that was a little odd to me that they because what happens is the Christian characters decide to do the right thing.
Yeah,
and then they get brutally cut down in the final moments of the movie. So
really cool sequence, that whole final sequence.
Cool sequence with and
you could see the ice blades on the and then like Finn would like basically just guess where he is based on like how things are being pulled. That's cool.
I agree. Cool. I agree. And the idea is, I guess, is that Finn could still physically interact with him, even though he's only in the dream world, which is,
as we also learn, he's good at punching. So we're introduced to him punching, and we're ending with him punching the grabber. I wish the sister had more of the final blow, though. She did get some of it. She chopped off his leg. Then the grabber disappears. So who knows what happens next? But
yeah. I mean, So I think, Devindra, you were saying you could see another movie with a grabber, but like these characters, their story is probably complete. I feel like this. I think I
wrap it up.
There.
Yeah. Like they were dealing with the loss of their mom, their horrible abusive father in the first movie, and there were some sequences in that first movie that I felt like also kind of overdid it. Jeremy Davies is back in this one. He gets a little bit of redemption.
It's kind of nice that Jeremy Davies is back because he's kind of mostly an abusive character in the first film.
Spends time beating the kid. Yeah.
Right, and then by the end he is he kind of realizes the error of his ways, and in this movie you see, hey, he's still working on himself.
He's working on it.
He's still working on himself, and that's kind
But
of cool.
he shows up. And I feel like there was something I felt a little emotional about that, because I feel like he didn't earn the redemption in the first movie, really.
Right.
The kids saved themselves. He got to hug them at the end.
Yeah. And this one, he kind of earns it a little bit more. He kind of earns it a
Yeah.
little bit more. He kind of helps. He provides meaningful assistance to them in this movie, and
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. It's usually a character like that rides off into the sunset, and it's like, hey, everything's okay. But in this one, he got to have a little moment, and that's pretty cool.
So now the kids have a little closure. They've ended their grabber story. Leave them alone. They're good. They're good. Because like anything else you do, like, oh man, they're being haunted again by the grabber, I feel like risks to devalue like what happens in this movie a little bit too. So I'm just worried about that. But I'm sure there will be more. I want these guys to be successful. Just give us new grabber stories.
It does feel like the story is complete. Like the mom didn't kill herself. The daughter has accepted her gifts. And it does feel like their story is complete. But it sounds like you are not opposed to seeing more grabber stuff, right? Like if the grabber
it's a great concept.
Yeah,
we don't have more.
Like the iconography is great. The mask is great. The mask design is great.
He's also getting progressively more fucked up. Basically, like by the end, his face is torn off, and like we're not getting shirtless Ethan Hawke anymore, right? So there's a lot you could do with this character, and we're not getting more Freddy movies. Nightmare on Elm Street is such a great concept. We're not getting any more of those. So this is kind of the only way we're getting dream murderer stuff.
Right. I do just want to give a shout out to Ethan Hawke, I mean, for being in a movie where he basically never shows his entire face for the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Ethan Hawke, good looking guy, even in his elder years. And it's just like, hey, it takes confidence and an ability to a willingness to humble yourself for the work to show up and not show your face for the entire movie. And so
they must have not filmed much with him too, given that like he is basically only in half of the movie, but that gives him time to do stuff like The Lowdown. So like what an interesting actor he is at this point.
Great show. So anyway,
and several movies coming. Yeah.
Blue Moon, right? Is that the
Blue Moon?
That's the one that Jeff talked about last week on the podcast. Anyway, really great movie, Black Phone 2, super fun, great visual ideas, and feels like a satisfying conclusion to this group of character stories. That said, yes, Devindra, we do wish C. Robert Cargill and Scott Derrickson the best, and I assume they'll be making Black Phone movies for many years to come. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they decide to do it next time. Because
the grabber will return, but apparently, I guess his spirit will be missing a leg now. So now, what do you do?
The question is, right? Are they going to do it as dreams for the next one? Because it wasn't dreams in the last movie, right?
No.
So the last movie it was the Black Phone. This movie is dreams. Are they going to do like a whole other concept for the next one? Right? Like,
I think all you have is dreams. All you have is dreams at this point. So what do you do? But these are our period movies now, so you could do something more towards the future. I don't know.
They could do like Jason style, where it's the grabber's mom, right? Like it's it's like the grabber's relative wants to get revenge. Like there's many ways they could do it. I don't think it has to be dreams.
It's a really interesting problem right now. Like if the Saw franchise can milk that concept and the main character being dead, for so many movies, that's an interesting problem.
You know what'd be so cool is if there's a movie and the grabber was just there, and then you find out later, oh, this movie took place before the events of Black Phone 1, right? That would be like I would lose my mind. I'd be like,
that's what happened in this movie. Apparently, is like the grabber was active before Black Phone 1. So
exactly, yeah.
Anyway,
at the end of the day, really impressive that Scott Derrickson made a movie. Thank you so much for watching this video of the Filmcast. Check out these other videos that we have available, and be sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get other videos from us in the future.
You can also go to thefilmcast.com to catch all of our audio podcast versions of all of our episodes.
And support this podcast at patreon.com/filmpodcast, where you can sign up for ad-free episodes and exclusive After Darks.
Thanks so much to everyone who makes the Filmcast possible.